All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and dive in. I know 30 minutes go so fast, and we all have come expectant and excited to learn from Kirsten today at Mount Vernon. So I'm going to go ahead and read her bio to you, and then we'll pass it over to Kirsten. Kirsten brings more than 2 decades of experience in admissions, beginning her career in admissions at Atlanta Girls School in 2004 before joining Mount Vernon in 2012. At Mount Vernon, she has led significant school-wide enrollment growth, expanding the student body from 800 to more than 1,230 students through data-informed strategies and thoughtful enrollment planning. Grounded in a design thinking approach, Kirsten has developed an intentional and highly personalized admissions process that reflects the school's missions and values. She's especially proud of the collaborative admissions team she leads and the seamless, welcoming experience they create for prospective students and families. Um, we at the Collaborative are so excited to have you join us today, and I'm going to pass it over to Kirsten as she shares with us all of her knowledge on admissions and enrollment.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Joanna. It's such a treat to be here today with all of you that were able to join us here in person. And I know many of you are going to be listening to this later. So I'm just super grateful and honored to share a little bit about what we do. I'm sure hopefully we can connect. I'm going to share my contact information and we can learn from one another. I know you all are doing really big things too. So I'm just going to jump in a little bit. I'm going to share my screen and give you a little bit of context about our school. Um, so one moment, let me get this going. Um, so I serve at Mount Vernon School in Atlanta, Georgia. And we are an independent school here in Sandy Springs, just outside the perimeter, if you're familiar with the Atlanta area on the north side. We have 1,232 students enrolled in our school, preschool through grade 12. Our preschool houses 93 students. Our lower school has 336 students. Our middle school, 294 students, and our upper school, 509 students. We have an admissions team of four, including myself. So I serve as the chief admissions officer, leading a really strong and very high performing team of colleagues. One that oversees our admissions systems and database, one that is our primary contact for lower and middle school, I'm sorry, preschool and lower school admissions, and one person that's our primary contact for middle and upper school admissions. And so we really find that framework sets us up for families know exactly who to contact first. I'll share a little bit about what our funnel looked like last season, just so you can, compare the scope of your schools to ours and what we have to work with. We usually see, a little over 1,500 inquiries from year to year. About 508 families come to visit the campus. Last year, we saw 394 applicants that translated into 200 new students. So, each of these numbers really represents a family. And that's really the tension and the reason that we're going to talk about today. That whole concept in admissions of, managing these growing volumes of data, deadlines, workflows, while we're also really trying to deliver really deep and personal, high touch family experiences. So our team has remained the same. We've had four people on our admissions team since I began here in 2012, and the school has gotten a lot bigger over that time, as have our inquiry pools. So we're challenged with this kind of moment where we're trying to capitalize on staying personal and also managing the workflow. So I wanted to kind of focus two things: data and the use of AI and how it's really helped our team to manage big numbers and stay personal. Hopefully, at the end of our session today, maybe there's something that you can learn that you're not already doing that can help you use your data to make better decisions. And then maybe a few helpful AI supported workflow tips that can free some time to use your teams for relationship building. When we think about personalization, um, I think there's a myth that like personalization means we have to handwrite everything. But that's not necessarily the case. I think using systems and smart automation, we can be really intentional about the way in which we personalize pieces and interactions within our process. Um, we really we know that relationships matter and we find ourselves stuck in automation um, operations. So we wanted to figure out how to fix that. When we think about the admissions funnel, really comparing it to be a data-informed system. So trying to get our team to think about each one of the pieces of the admissions funnel is a stage that has a different job to be done. And I want to kind of walk through the funnel as we talk today in ways that we have integrated automation at each level, if that works for you.
I'm in a meeting right now.
To start, we'll jump in and kind of talk
12:30.
about ways in which we have improved our reach. So there's a quick summary here. There's two things that I really want to share. The first one is a partnership that we have with our brand team on digital outreach and how we have kind of honed in on psychographic data to inform our messaging. And then the second thing that we really intentionally did this year to try to improve outreach was to improve the ability for us to focus time on relationships with feeder schools and invited them in for open houses. So specific days and dates that those schools that send children to us at the different entry points, whether it's preschool, kindergarten, sixth grade, or ninth grade, really continue to message to them our value proposition. So this slide just gives you some creative examples of our Google Analytics. We have done some advertising online, p particularly looking at our current student body and population and how might we target pockets of that particular subgroup around our area to maybe bring more inquiries into Mount Vernon that aren't already here. We also looked at psychographic data and what might be the descriptors that we wanted to use when we did that targeted outreach. So these are just some of the different banners and ads that we've served up digitally. Our brand team does such great work. Everything's gorgeous. They also really created a Google search landing page as this kind of first trust handoff moment between clicking an ad and then getting connected to a person in on our team, trying to really reduce friction with fewer fields. And then we set up an automated conversion. So once someone clicks on an ad and then goes to this next step, we've automated some nurturing through the funnel. So there's a message that pops up, thanks them, asks them to schedule a call with us immediately. There's an automated email that is personalized from our division level admissions director. And then we use You Can Book Me to schedule our phone calls. And that's a little screenshot from that offering. I love it because you can also personalize their confirmation emails and send reminder emails to families. So all the while thinking about consistency in messaging, but also facilitating warmth through this automated messaging. Every automation has an ultimate goal of connecting them with a phone call or a personal interaction. And that's been really helpful in increasing outreach to bring in more inquiries. So that's the next stage in the funnel. We have revised our inquiry letters. So for us in our process, when a family inquires about Mount Vernon, they're going to get an inquiry letter back from us. And we had a great one in the past. It was really well thought out and intentional and, said what we thought we should share at that moment. But we realized that perhaps with a little bit more intentionality to the audience, that it might feel more intentional and less cookie cutter. So we leaned in to AI to help us with those revisions, not to do the work for us, but to help us kind of get launched further faster. Um, We also, I'm going to tell you about a great utilization of Zoom. We at Mount Vernon use Zoom phone and Zoom video for all of our phone and video conferences, and they have a great AI feature that has saved us time in note taking. Um, so I'll show you two things. So this is just a sample of what our inquiry letter looks like. And you can see a little bit of the language here, but early childhood families we find are really buying trust and nurture. Whereas this is an example of our upper campus inquiry letter. Families are more focused on independence, challenge, readiness, starting to think about college. So those language shifts, we really tried to match the parent mindset. And, a quick little filter through ChatGPT and a couple revisions on our own, we were there really quick. So it was a pretty easy, intentional step that we think has really helped us this year. Um, Scalable empathy, right? This is an example of if you've never seen a Zoom summary, after we have a phone call or a Zoom call, if we turn on the AI feature, Zoom sends us a summary. It gives a recap, it gives next steps. We download this PDF and we load it into that applicant's record. So our team is focused on what they're saying on the call and not having to write everything down. And then we get this. We actually also send it to the family afterwards. We felt like it serves as a nice reminder for them as well. And the transparency, when it says their phone call is being recorded, now they get to see like that's really what we were trying to do, something helpful. Used to, we would spend a long time every week typing our notes from our phone calls into our databases, and this has been um, a real efficiency win for us. Looking at the visit stage of the funnel. So hopefully we're translating all of our new inquiries into families that want to come and visit us. So we have this year rallied around a FOMO theme, the fear of missing out. And we leaned into our Chat GPT friend to help us with all of our event descriptions. How can we revise the description of our event in a way that creates FOMO and urgency for our prospective families? We've also dialed up the personalization in our events. We noticed in our data, we looked at the yield rates with open house events. We looked at the yield rates of small group tour events and kind of compared. And actually, this year, we ended up offering less open houses because of what we saw in the data and more small group tours. So for our team, that cut our events in half and then freed us up in time for really making a difference with the small group tour families. But we also wanted to make those small group tours feel like an event, like a moment. And I'll show you an example. And then the third thing that I'm going to share is a quick way to help differentiate your messaging from your competitors. So this is an example. I mentioned having fewer open houses and more small group tours. And the tension we felt was how do we make it feel special? Like if a family is going to another school, to an open house and then they come here for a small group tour and not an open house, how can it feel like they have arrived and we were intentional in planning for them? So this is just an example on our lower campus of a little welcome station. We have a little screen, we put everybody's name on it, it rotates through so that they feel intentional. We have a little takeaway gift. Well, it's not really a gift, it's an activity, a maker box, because at Mount Vernon we do a lot of hands-on learning and there's an emphasis on maker education. So this is a box that the students can or the parents can take home to their child and make something and have a little Mount Vernon moment. There's guides with their names on them, but that arrival moment, we wanted, something momentous and share worthy, remarkable, something that they would tell somebody else about. It made them feel special. Um, this is an example of just a quick prompt. I was working with my team on the idea, like, so we in Atlanta, we have an awesome group of Atlanta area independent schools, and it's a really great organization filled with amazing schools. You probably have that in your area too. And while we all have great outcomes, we're all different and we're approaching education differently. So while we might be talking on a tour about small classrooms and great teachers. That also might be something that this family is hearing everywhere. So we need to focus our words and our messaging on the things that really make an impact. So we just did a quick analysis. We asked ChatGPT, what are three main differences between Mount Vernon School and we listed another school. And we said, I'd like for you to speak about our educational philosophy and curriculum, and religious affiliation, a role of faith, and then campus culture and innovation. And boom, within like 5 seconds, we got this where we were able to kind of tweak some of our language where we saw overlap, and know like where our commonalities are so that maybe as we're differentiating ourselves on a tour or with prospective families to focus on those things that really are different, which is much more helpful for a family if they're trying to make a decision between schools. All right, moving along. I feel like I'm going really quickly. So thank you for your attention and listening. I'm going to move on to kind of talking about some things that we've done with our applicant stage of the process, which is what we're in right now, in the timeline of admissions. We're receiving applications. Families are coming and doing applicant interviews and assessments. Our decisions go out at the beginning of April. So, as we think about the volume of applicants and reading files, we are in a process of working with ChatGPT to help us analyze admissions information, confidentially, of course. We have uploaded our admissions rubric and then have asked it to give us a synopsis of an applicant, where we've removed names from every piece. So downloading PDFs that we can upload, but for our rubrics. And then from our database, we're able to export data, and we have assigned each applicant a number so that then the summary has a confidential number. And it we're just beginning this process, but we're really hopeful that it's going to help us spend less time reviewing our applicants that are maybe on the edges, maybe at the top of our pool or at the bottom of our pool, and more time in the middle, and therefore give us a little more time for personal calls and touch points. So for us in Atlanta, March is kind of a quiet time when decisions are being made. There aren't necessarily events happening where families are on campus, but we don't want them to forget about us. We call it Quiet March, and we have intentional outreach that we send out to families during Quiet March. We call them during Quiet March, but this is an example of one of our current rubrics that we're using. And I could have a whole moment where I was telling you about how we got to this. I'm sure you all have wrestled with how to best analyze applications and summarize. I will share that our admissions committee went through a design thinking lap about our newest students and what's really differentiating them, the traits that our strongest, newest students had, what helped them go further faster. And we categorized them in self-management skills, social and community connection, and learning disposition, and then articulated a couple key factors that were differentiators for our applicant pool. We also moved from a numbers ranking system to like a red light, green light, yellow light, with the intent that like that yellow light area, those are the ones that our team is going to spend the most time diving deeper on. But we've uploaded this rubric into ChatGPT, and it's done some really great summaries for us so far. So we're excited about that. I know the college sector has dived into this a little bit. Lastly, I'm going to move on to that enrollment stage. We'll be there in April, but right now, one of the things we did last year was we exported the "What makes Mount Vernon a great choice for your family" question. Um, my team used to spend about 6 hours reading all those answers and categorizing and writing the words that we saw the most often. Um, and we recently have started uploading all those answers to ChatGPT and had the top three reasons back to us in about 8 minutes. So that was a game changer for us that helped us find trends, why parents were choosing us, and is guiding us into how we can best plan for their onboarding and get them connected. I know we're going to come up with some more ideas, so we're in the process of continuing to think about how we can use our data and insert moments of automation in order to free up more time for personalization. So to kind of summarize a little bit, I know we want to have time if anybody has any questions or anything you'd like to ask, but as you're looking to make changes in your own processes, I would recommend that you start small. Think about, one bottleneck or one area, one task, one touch point that you might want to um, improve upon. Um, think about asking better questions around it, like, you know, where does human connection make the biggest difference in our process? What are some things that we could do in order to leave more time for that connection? And there's a great list that I've linked here in this slide. I know we're going to be sending this out to you. There are 180 AI ideas that come from Joshua Clark, who's the Director of Enrollment and Marketing at TASIS England. I attended a webinar that he hosted, and he shared this, and it's just a treasure trove. So hopefully you'll learn something valuable in that as well. I certainly did, and I definitely want to thank him for that. But this is my email address. Certainly happy to open up if anybody has questions for me. Happy to answer. But thanks for listening. Hopefully something resonated or helped or sparked an idea or a moment. And I'd love to hear from you too afterwards if you change things in your process. Like I'm always looking to connect and share and grow from you too. So thanks. Any questions?
I would ask, so from visits, when you transition from visits to applicants, how are you making the visit feel like it's not pressure for families, that it's more of them exploring your school and making it enjoyable? I hear you make a lot of things more personal to the family, but I feel like for us, we struggle with making it feel like a pressure. We need you to come to our school versus this is what we offer.
Right? Isn't it so hard to be in a career where we're like selling, but we're screening? I mean, it's so awkward sometimes. But for us, we when we start our visits, and I should clarify because everybody has different processes. For us, we like our small group tours to be around, like we've capped them at 8 families. So, it could be as many as 15 people, or for our high school, it could be is 20 because the kids come lots of times in middle school too, but a smaller group. And we begin with circling up with a moment where we ask everybody, we give them a think time, but what is something that you want to make sure that we share with you today? What's an interest that you have that you want to learn about? So really kind of tipping it to where we're showing and telling instead of, them having to perform or whatnot. Like we're trying to serve as a guide and cover things. And our larger open houses are a little bit more scripted with, moments and but the small group tour is really much more oriented around a particular family's questions, if that's helpful.
Hi, Kirsten. It's Nija. Good to see you and thank you. This is incredibly helpful. Um, you talked about using AI to kind of put together the highlights of an applicant for the admissions committee. Can you talk a little bit more about how that works? Like are teachers on your admissions committee? Do they see the already filtered through AI results and how you approach that?
It's a great question, and we're building it as we go. Um, but our admissions committee consists of our admissions team and different representatives from school leadership at each division. So we actually don't have teachers, and we also have existed in a framework where my team reads carefully every application and we present the applicants at committee. So it's a little bit more of a summary, which I'm super excited about having these one pagers because I think one of the reasons we do it this way is timing. We are a school that we always need to hustle, and if we have a late applicant, we absolutely want you to apply, and we don't turn off the switch, and we always are welcoming that. But what that does is it's harder for a large committee to have access to the files because it's a time crunch. And we are doing it within like 3 weeks. One of them is our spring break, which we get off. I'm always reading applications. Another one is our interim week, where our entire high school is traveling all over the world. And so our teachers don't have time. Um, so that's a little bit about like the makeup of the committee and our process, but we've kind of pivoted a little bit in this engine that we're using, but essentially we're exporting all the fields from Ravenna, removing all the personal indicators, and then uploading it, and then asking it to summarize in this rubric. And we've piloted a couple, and it's been from last year, students that are we either have at our school or weren't able to serve at our school, and it's been really great. Now, it's not going to replace what we do. Like that's not at all, but it's a helpful first pass. And honestly, on the other end, I'm super excited about then the synthesis that I think it will be able to bring us that we might not notice. Like what trends are happening amongst our applicants in sixth grade or ninth, what do we maybe not notice? So we're excited, but we're also nervous because the whole confidential piece is really hard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kristen,
Yes.
hi. We are at here at our school at Hope Academy. We are going through, of course, some very challenging times with the climate here in Minneapolis. And so my question to you is that if you were experiencing the things that we've lost a lot of our Spanish speaking families. They are
Mm,
no longer coming to our tours. And and there's several families that have actually left the state due
mm.
to, again, the current climate. Just wondering, what would your thoughts and ideas and suggestions when there's a possibility of losing more families, as
Mm.
well as not having the increased number of Spanish families to come tour? How do you go about managing all that when in fact, we're trying to achieve student growth here?
Wow. I mean, that's definitely a challenge. I know one of the things with specific populations that we're looking to increase for us, I think some of our targeted advertising online has been helpful because you can kind of um, articulate what is the profile of someone that you would want this ad served to online. And it's almost scary how granular you can get with that, but maybe that might be an idea. I think it's always helpful to have relationships with other schools at different entry points, and you can hopefully connect. They're going to school somewhere if they're still there, and try to connect perhaps,
Mhm.
but no.
Yeah, they're staying home. They're
Oh.
doing some homeschooling and stuff, and some districts are doing online learning. But
Mm,
again, our inquiries, we have a large populations of Latinos, and so basically we've again we're not seeing them. So
mm,
we've opted for to create a video so that we can do a virtual video of touring of our school and stuff.
great
But
idea.
again, just really concerned about just losing quite a few families and things like that. So I just was wondering what your take was, again, because we are in our climate is very serious here.
Well, and I would definitely say in that video that you created for them to talk about like the safety that your school implemented too might be a good idea. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, it is 12:30. I hate to cut us off, but I know there's so many more questions we want to ask Kirsten because she's a wealth of knowledge, but she did share her email address with you all. And as we wrap up today, if you joined us today and didn't register, that's great. Welcome. If you want to pop your email in the chat, then we'll make sure to follow up with you and get you the recording from today as well as Kirsten's slides. We'll be sending that email out tomorrow. So you can be looking for that if you want to share it with more folks at your schools as well. And then just a couple other things. Some of you are new to the collaborative, so welcome. We're going to pop in the chat the just a one pager that explains what the collaborative is. We're truly about supporting Christian and Catholic schools as they work on just really the mission that God has called them to. And so we would love for you to take a look at us and get to know who we are and what we provide for various schools in that way. We also have an upcoming event on February 26th that we are excited to share about, and we'd love to have you in attendance. It is in Plymouth, Minnesota, so I know some of you are local and some of you aren't, but if you're in the area, we'd love to invite you to our collaborative event where we're going to be learning all about creating spaces for our students and looking at how we support the learners who are in our buildings. So it's a great time for leaders at your school, but also teachers who are designing their classrooms each day and what that looks like for the educational setting. So we have popped that in the chat as well. With that, we will let you all head out. But again, thank you so much for joining us. You can be looking for an email from me tomorrow with all the resources that you heard today from Kirsten. And Kirsten, thank you so much for being on today. It was truly a joy to hear from you and to learn about the great things that are happening at Mount Vernon.
A pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been a treat. Thanks for having me. And y'all send me your fun ideas of things you've implemented. I want to connect.
Wonderful. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.